On this episode of Multiplayer, we got Cosplay with our boy Alfred Hightower. Hit those fat beats.
Genji is with you.
Apparently we're talking about Apple and their ringtones.
Sponsored by Apple.
Apple Music, Apple Pay for them beats.
Apple sponsor us.
Please
Do it now.
Pay us, Apple. I'm so broke. Yo! Whoa! Welcome everybody to another...
What's happening?
I know, right? Welcome!
Oh, I didn't sign up for this.
Well, too bad. You're here now. Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I am one of your hosts, Zach Mascanis. Alongside, I'm going to skip right over you.
Me.
Alongside Javier Ortiz.
That's right, the much more important person on this couch. Clearly the only one that matters.
And then if you're a normal multiplayer viewer on the video side, you might be saying, wow, something seems very different this week. And guess what? You would be absolutely correct. You're very observant. There are 3 people here today.
We got a +1.
We have a +1. And yeah, so we have our boy over here, AJ, aka Alfred Hightower.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Hi, good, I'm good.
I am good too, over on this side. So Alfred has joined us for this week's episode where we're going to berate him with questions regarding what he loves most in this whole wide world, which is cosplay.
Yes.
Yes.
With those S's, all those S's.
He's a Slytherin. Makes sense.
Yeah, so he only cosplays as snakes. It's a very weird
exclusively
thing.
snakes. That is all.
He just slithers around, all the conventions. It's very weird. People step on him constantly.
If you see like a trail of like slime, I was probably there.
Just spitting just as you go. This isn't anime related.
And before we get into more slithery tales, everybody don't forget we are all over the place, in your ears and in your face. We're on YouTube and all those fun podcast services all over the interwebs. And on your phone, I bet you can find them on there. I think phones have podcasts, right? Is that a thing?
They do.
They do.
You know what
Cool.
I just realized? Sorry to stop
No.
you.
Do you think?
This will be our first episode in October, and
Ooh.
it's, ironically enough, has a cosplayer.
That's very true.
So look at that.
I have a Halloweenish question
Totally on point.
regarding cosplay. We'll get there.
Okay.
Nice.
But before we get there, remember, you can also check us out at Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayer, where you can throw us a $1 or $2 a month, and that helps us to keep the lights on, have fun, do all those fun things, and you get some sweet bonus episodes every other week, every other Friday, in fact, where we have some bonus rounds for you amazing people, and we dive in deep and we do some real fun things. We're gonna have a real fun bonus round this week with our boy Alfred over here.
We even got props.
Yeah, we
looking
have
at
a
the
lot of
props.
props.
They're right there.
Yeah, we're gonna get crazy on that bonus round. So look into that. Check that out. It's gonna be a good time. So, anyways, guys,
Let's get it
fellas, ladies,
Hello.
Ladies.
hello,
Lady.
dog. There's a dog hiding under the.
There is a Shiba here.
There's a hidden Shiba, just like a hidden Mickey. Just
Where is
gotta
he?
find it.
Let's get into some fun conversations. We have a few things to talk about this week. One is our, Alfred sitting here. We're going to berate him with questions from both sides. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Try and talk about a little bit of the Telltale. Talk about a little PSX, all that fun stuff. So we have some good topics.
Yeah.
I feel good. Do you feel good, Alfred?
I feel good. I feel pretty good. Pretty good.
Cool. Well, let's do it. So Alfred, I heard you do this cosplay thing.
Who told you?
There's
How do you know my information?
There's a little birdie, and by a little birdie I mean a man dressed up like a bird, telling me, hey, there's this Alfred fellow that does a lot of cosplay in the video game world and the anime world, just all over the place. Has a lot of fun. So tell us about yourself. Give us a good broad overview of Alfred, the cosplayer.
Well, started cosplay I started cosplay around like 2014, if not 2014. First convention ever was Anime Expo, and
Nice.
prior to Anime Expo, I stopped watching anime at like 2011.
How dare you?
Why would you stop?
I know. No, but I don't know what happened. I think the last thing I watched was Angel Beats. I got really sad, and I'm like, is this what all anime is all about? So I stopped watching for a bit, and then what brought me back was Kill la Kill, and it was amazing. I love Studio Trigger. It was just stellar, and going to Anime Expo, I dressed up as Ryuko, as I forget everyone else. It was the tech hacker guy, and
Gotcha.
Aiko Mikisugi, that teacher who's always shirtless. And I had a blast, but I stepped into cosplay like too far. It's like I dove into the deep end of a pool
Right.
Yeah.
in the middle of winter, and the pool is not even heated at all, and I just had to like swim all the way back up there. So yeah, I started out kind of rough because I had no idea what I was doing, and all these years I've just been, trying to improve my foam crafting, improve my sewing, and slowly but surely, I'll get there to a good place.
Cool. Yeah, and so you do anime and video games, and I guess that's really it in the cosplay world, right?
That's pretty much it, because like you said, video games, anime, not so much comic book or movie, because I
Right.
feel like I can't do that justice, because it's already there. You see how it should be.
Sure.
If I don't deliver the way that it looks like, I feel like I'm not going to do it enough justice,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Sure.
How about like creative takes though? Like if someone did like a, I don't know, steampunk Spider-Man. Just this totally example. That not saying it's.
Then that I would do, because that's up to creative decisions.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, nice. Nice.
And honestly, I feel like in the at least in the cosplay world, I feel like doing something with video games or anime, I would say it's a lot more challenging than even like a comic book character, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, here's a character that literally makes no sense in the real world. They have a sword that's 90 feet tall. They're wearing 4 strings.
Oh, God.
And it's
Yeah.
just, it's like
Lots of buckles.
yeah, just buckles,
Typically.
just nonsense. It's like, and it's like, okay, how does that translate to to being a real human being in the real world? And it's like you see it with like, you'll see like an anime that they'll try and do like a live adaptation of like something like a Death Note or like
Ghost in the
Can we-
Shell.
or it goes in the show. Or, he's
I
getting
know,
the shivers on.
cringeworthy, right?
Yeah, it's or like the Dragon Ball Z kind of live action stuff, and it's just like it doesn't translate. It's just you can't do giant golden hair. It just
No.
Yeah, although I've seen some cosplay as like Super Saiyan where it actually doesn't look that bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, like some of the dudes that do it are way more in shape than I am. They're jacked, so it's like, all right, easily you could pull off about anything. So I mean, I'm not really going to question you, but
He'd also beat me up. I can't talk.
yeah,
about
I won't talk trash. You're good. It's just fair enough. But actually, I wanted to ask you, like, since you've been cosplaying for about 4 years now,
Yes.
officially, you'd say.
Yeah.
So, like, what's one of your favorite cosplays you've done so far?
Oh, Pyramid Head.
Pyramid Head.
which is a
Pyramid
really
Head.
good one. Yeah.
So
You
good.
talk about swords that are like 90 feet long.
Yeah. The sword was as tall as I am. I'm like 5'9", 5'10".
Jeez.
And I was standing on stilts, which made me around 7'2", 7'3".
Oh, and so you were all day in stilts.
I was in stilts all day. Whenever I had to sit down, I had to find, those railings, whenever you go down a ramp, you just hold on to those, because who knows, you might fall and then you might sue. So I had to find one of those. I had to sit down, raise up my leg, and then just, lift up the skirt, and then just like start undoing the whole stilt.
Oh my god.
I was hoping maybe you just had somebody that followed you all day with a really tall stool.
Surprisingly, no, but there were
like
people.
a 6-foot stool.
Surprisingly, no, but I did have, I believe, one of my friends cosplay as a nurse who also, helped me in and out of the cosplay.
Nice.
So I really appreciated that.
How big was the pyramid head?
Ooh, that's a good question.
How did you see out of it?
Well, here's the thing. The whole thing's made out of cardboard, so it's really, really light.
Nice.
And it was just fully paper mached and spray painted with this texture to make it look rusted.
Mm-hmm.
And for the I guess the parts of the triangle that are over here, I used window mesh.
Okay.
So
yeah.
window screen.
Oh
not
yeah,
light.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I used like 2 layers of that, and I could not see anything from like here. I could just see out this way.
So
I'm
if
like,
somebody was
cross-eyed.
directly in front of you,
I
you would
would-
just walk right over.
I would just like travel right over them, and I'd be like, oh, I just stepped over something.
That's
Okay,
a
let's keep going.
Weird bump. here at the con.
But yeah, that was my favorite costume because I've worn that like 2-3 years in a row. And
Nice.
Yeah.
How long does it typically make? I mean, that for example, like how long did that take to make?
That one took a good 1 month and a half.
Yeah.
I had some help from my dad, my buddy Kelton.
Shout out to Kelton.
Hey.
Oh boy.
And yeah, it was more so a collaborative effort because I did not know how to make the helmet at first.
Yeah.
So Kelton helped me format everything and just like pattern everything. I was the one who had to like shape it, and my dad was the one who helped me out with the sword.
Nice.
But it took around a month and a half.
Nice.
Oh, man,
Especially,
that's pretty
the
difficult.
skirt. So the skirt,
Oh yeah, that's right.
the skirt.
parallel ref.
My aunt had helped me with that, and I had to get on my stilts so that she could measure how long it'll be.
Yeah,
I had to
makes
pick
sense.
out the material, and after that was said and done, I had to slather the whole thing in liquid latex to make it look like skin.
Gotcha.
Did it ever
Yeah.
like drag under the still, like you could trip? And...
No, surprisingly
Oh,
it didn't. So thank God it didn't.
Yeah, I was
gonna say,
that seems kinda dangerous.
That'd be pretty bad. That's a 7
yeah.
foot fall.
It's like, oh, okay, bye guys.
Use the sword as like a pole.
Oh God, oh, that would have been really scary.
Yeah, so it's one of the big reasons I haven't gotten into like the cosplay world in that way, where it's like, hey, I need to make like the world's craziest costume and then just wear that all day among 50,000 people, or whatever the convention is, because it's like, it's such a it's so complicated with like you got a full-time job, you're trying to pay bills, and then it's like you got kind of your hobbies and your social life on top of everything. It's like, well, I just don't have time. Like, even if I wanted to make a costume, when am I going to do it?
Yeah.
it's like we barely have time to make this show week to week. It's
An investment
like,
for sure.
yeah, so it's just like, it's one of those things that's, you got to be so dedicated to wanting to dive into that craft and
Exactly.
into that world, and which is interesting and fascinating, because it's like, it's like I'm in the film world and I do a lot in the kind of the art department side, and you get these weird like projects and challenges where it's like, we want to take a room and flip it 360 degrees and like all this crazy stuff, and it's like, well, how do I do that? And it's like, then you got to think about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm sure it's the same way with cosplay, where it's just, well, how do I make a 7 foot triangle headed man?
Well, you always need to like take into account physics. Physics is just a huge thing
That's
in
true.
cosplay, because
not
anime
in
video
anime.
games, they just ignore the hell out of that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm just like, God damn it.
Well, yeah, I mean, have you seen Cloud? Like, just has this sword that looks
Yeah,
like
he's
it
like
probably weighs 1,000 pounds.
he's like
and
a
he's swinging
five-
around like
5 foot, like
like, all right.
120 pounds wet, like
Yeah.
90 foot sword.
yeah, it's insane.
It's just it deals with a lot of like good craftsmanship and painting
Yeah.
to make it look like steel, to make it look like rusted anything,
true.
to make it look like wood. Oh my God, wood is the hardest thing to like recreate from foam. Oh jeez.
Yeah, because I'm assuming like at cons and stuff, like they wouldn't let you, if things were like made out of metal or like something hard, like they wouldn't allow you in. Or
No, they do not allow live metal at all. And by live metal, I mean like an actual sword, something that can actually cut.
Right.
Something that is dangerous. So anything that, if you brandish it in such a way and it's obviously metal, they're gonna like say, hey, so here's the thing.
Yeah. I think it's so weird because usually a lot of these, like, I know at least at Comic Con, like you can buy swords,
Yes.
but you can't
Yeah, which
bring
is
them
so
in.
weird, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's like, as long as you buy it there and then stab people, it's okay.
Yeah.
Completely okay. I mean, it's under the guidelines. It's clear. No.
Yeah, because like I've been in a few Comic Cons, and like there are dudes who have booths of like pocket knives, and then there are
Yes.
guys with like katanas and like the Master Sword, and just like, well, I can't bring in like a hammer, but
Yeah.
I can buy knives. And,
But the thing is, if you do like purchase, live steel or a live weapon inside the convention, you're pretty much told to go back to your hotel and just put it back there, or wherever you can
Oh,
store
really?
it safely because they don't want you carrying that around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also,
Yes.
with the whole like weapons policy, you have to get it checked. They have to make sure that it's not more than 7 feet tall in terms of the Anime Expo, and since we're also talking about Anime Expo, if it looks like a real gun, half of the gun needs to be covered in neon tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Interesting.
That makes a lot of sense, especially with today's climate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, things have they've gotten a little crazy over the last few years
Yeah.
with a lot of conventions and
So
all sorts of.
I also wanted to ask another question. Sorry, but like, because you talked about Pyramid, that took about a month and a half. Was that, or was there another cosplay that was like the most challenging? Like what were you like? I don't know if like you the first thought of is like, how am I going to do this, or like the process. You're just like, how is this? How can I make this look like legitimate? Because I figured like you're making something from scratch.
Yeah.
And the first, and obviously you want to do a good job, and you do a good job. I mean, I'm looking at some of your stuff right now. It's legit. And it looks great.
Thank you.
But it's like the mindset of like, all right, how do I make this like as legit as possible and as good looking as possible, so you could translate it to live action? Because like we were saying, like it's tough to take some things from anime or video games where they ignore physics, and when it looks cool, and then to do that in live action, like what was the most challenging thing you've ever come across in terms of cosplay? I'm putting you on the spot.
There are actually two. I'm just trying to find which one is a little bit more, it was the more daunting one.
Sure.
But the first thing that came to mind was Jun Senketsu. So basically, it's from Kill la Kill. It was more of a fan art kind of thing, and it was taking Ryuko's Senketsu, which is like her uniform, and taking Satsuki's Junketsu, and just like mixing that into two. So what I basically did is I took Junketsu's form, but I took Senketsu's color scheme. But the hardest thing was to mount the shoulders, because on the shoulders there are these huge spikes that reach like 2 feet tall.
Jeez.
Of course. Why
And I'm
not?
like, okay, I love this design, but
Yeah.
it took me around like a few weeks to figure out. I basically made a backpack from foam, and I basically just like stuck PVC pipes in there. Modeled the shoulder piece. That took like another week because I just did not know how to like form it into a 3D shape.
Right.
Just stuck that on there, and for some reason it worked.
I mean, if it works.
I feel like I could have done a better job, but at the same time I'm like, it works.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
gonna
think a
leave
lot
it
of
there.
artists feel that way with whatever they create.
Yeah.
It's like, I could have done better.
It's like you got to kind of start somewhere, and it's like, if you ever feel like kind of improving on that design, you have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to kind of start somewhere, feel it out, figure it out, and then it's
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
okay, this is how this could work. Here's I had an art thing for a film not too long ago, and I built something, and I was like, oh gosh, I should have done that out of PVC instead of wood. But it's like, it's already done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to kind of start somewhere, and it's like, yeah, now I've got this figured out. I got some ideas. If I want to do it later on, and I could potentially do it.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the second thing that was, kind of hard for me to do was a fire homunculus that I had to make for Summer's War.
Which is a cool outfit, by the
convention.
way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, less outfit, more just like bare.
It was
bare
literally
chest,
just
but-
like
You got a
it
good
was like
chest.
it was 75% body paint. That is it.
Yeah.
And then everything else was just like this huge belt that I had to make out of Warbler and craft foam and EVA foam. But the really challenging part for me was to make these ropes that had like a triangle on the ends of them. In theory, I made it well enough, because when I was at home, I was just here's the thing. It looked like sectioned off rope, so what I ended up using was these large boba straws. Cut off the ends, cut it in half, wrap the thing in Warbler, and I'm like, this works.
Nice.
And then I shoved galvanized wire into them just so that they could float.
Right.
But when I got to the convention and when I put it on, they were floating, but they started like drooping down.
Oh, no.
And then by the time I stepped out of the dressing room, they all snapped.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. Now what do I do? So in hindsight, I should have just attached invisible fishing wire to like my fingers,
Right.
and then fed that wire throughout the whole rope, and then whenever I move my hands, it would just move as well. So I'm like,
Wow.
that would have been nice.
It's like you saying like fishing wire. It's like the amount of thought like that, because I just like that makes total sense. Like, of course you would have something that you can't see, but it would make it look like it's moving with you. It's just like that type of creativity, that type of like resourcefulness. Like, where does it come from? Like, do you go online and say, how do I do this? Like, or do you just it just comes to you like how, or is it all self-taught? Like, how do you learn that?
Well,
kind
it's
of
kind of
stuff?
self-taught because I learned from a lot of YouTubers, a lot of cosplayers, some people who have had more experience than I do. But most of my knowledge comes from Kamui Cosplay, and sometimes Jessica Nigri, sometimes Yaya Han.
Okay.
And there's just a multitude of people and resources that you can look up. And fishing wire was something that I, came up with myself. But I'm not saying that that's where the idea came from.
Yeah.
But I was driving down Culver City and I see like these invisible wires like running through power poles. And I asked my friend, do you know what that is? Because it looks weird. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. He said something along the lines of fishing wire or some invisible wires just so that people don't see it. And I'm like, I could use that.
The light bulb just turned on.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it. Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cosplay's been one of those things for, I mean, pretty much my entire life. I've been in the video games, but I haven't been in the cosplay world. It's like they're very intertwined in a lot of ways, but at the same time they're they're very separate in a lot of ways. Where it's just I only go to a certain amount of conventions, mostly like E3 and kind of like the bigger video game things, and outside of that, like I don't do too many like the Comic-Cons and stuff like that. But obviously, it's like I'm in that world enough where sponsored by Fortnite. But it's like I'm around it enough in my life where it's just like all that's so cool. And, just as like an outsider looking in, and it's like it's something where it's like, man, I wish I could live in that world a little bit more. But it's like,
how?
It's like, it's like, how do
it?
How do I balance that with everything else I want to do in life? It's so tricky, but it's like it's something I appreciate, just the passion that and the love that goes into cosplay and that whole community. It's like one of the things I love about cosplayers and video games and kind of everything in almost that nerdy realm, the comic books and all that. It's like these people, they come together and it's like, yo, I love this thing. I'm so like this one show, this one comic book, or just the world itself. I love it, and it's like I want to just embrace that as much as I can. And it's just it's just, like you meet some of the coolest people ever. Just like they're all super nice and happy, and everybody just embraces this one weird, goofy thing.
We really do. It's some of the nicest people.
No, but the community is great. We're literally nerds in costumes and cosplay, and that's what I think of it at the end of the day, because we all love the same things. We all love anime, video games, comic books, movies, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, when you take out the cosplay, we're all nerds who love to dress up as our favorite characters.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it all. Because to me, it's nothing serious, but it still is, because I get to express my love for a certain series or a certain anime or a certain video game.
For sure.
And this is my way of doing it.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Have you ever done any like contests at the cons, or won any, or find somebody in the same outfit and you're just like, mine's better?
I will crush you.
Well, here's the thing. If I do see someone like in the same cosplay as me but better, I want to learn from that.
That makes sense.
Like, okay, looks like they shaded that. They sewed it this way. They hot glued it that way. So I'm like, okay.
And then you just take a pipe and you hit them in the head and you steal their costume.
Exactly. Shh. No.
These are insider secrets. You can't tell them about it.
We're gonna bleep that out, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're just gonna cut this whole section. In fact, the last like 30 minutes, we're just gonna cut.
Just a continuous bing.
Just us talking over nothing. Just
And these just subtitles just like completely
just
wrong.
nonsense. It's like the subtitles from a cooking show.
Yes. We're just gonna add a shot of vodka. And we're done.
And that's it. The end. So I have a few questions I wanted to get to.
Okay.
With you specifically, and then we'll jump to like some more things in the video game world. You know, since it's a video game show for the most part. And but did you have a few as well? Yeah, or did you answer? Or did you ask most of?
I got a couple other questions if you want me to keep asking questions. I got questions for days.
All right, so first question, I think it's a pretty good one. We probably should have asked this 30 minutes ago. Hav and I we were having a discussion about this earlier today. Define cosplay.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, we were.
Like, give us the breakdown for the people out there that's like this that are listening that are like specifically on the video game side, like just play games and they're not into the world of cosplay.
They ignore the internet.
They don't know what the internet is. It's weird. They're still like dial up. They don't know what's going on.
How are you guys listening to this?
That's what I'm saying.
No, but cosplay is basically just two words mashed together, which is costume and play. And that's basically what it is. You get to play in your costume because you are recreating or you are living someone else's dream. Because let's say that My Hero Academia is like one of the biggest animes right now. And you see cosplays of it left and right. When you're a little, if there's like a little kid who, you know, loves it to death and he sees like a costume of Kirishima or Bakugo or Deku, they will fall in love with it because they know that this is real, that it's an actual person that they're looking at, and it's an actual character, that Deku and Bakugo and Kirishima is real. And that's where I find the beauty in cosplay, because not only can you go up to a mirror and say that, oh, I made this, or I bought this, oh, I look amazing in this, you're also bringing joy into someone else's life because you made their dream come true.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, obviously, it's a little different than cosplay, but close enough. You know, I've always thought like mascots and stuff. Like, you know, you go to like a theme park or something like that, where it's just like these little kids will see something like SpongeBob and they just freak out. You know, and it's just like, you know, almost like I kind of wish I was a mascot sometimes. Where it's like, because these kids, it's like, yo, you're my hero. I've been watching you for years. Like. It's always kind of interesting to see that, so I'm sure like it kind of happens on the cosplay side.
Then you see the little
well.
kid who sees Pyramid Head, and she's like, Pyramid Head,
I love you, Pyramid Head, I love you. There's some little like 6-year-old girl,
and then when they let go of me, they see all this blood on their arms. They're like, "Thank you,
I love you." But in that like same mindset, when you've cosplayed or whenever you've cosplayed and gone to events, and you know, I'm sure you've met people and like, oh my god, you look great. Are you ever like in character? Like, do you ever like if you're walking around as Pyramid Head, right? And you have the
How
costume
many people
on.
have you killed?
But like, do you walk around like thinking like I'm menacing? I am a monster right now, or are you just like, hey, I'm Pyramid Head. Hey, what's up?
No, well, for me, I like to be in character, especially if there's like a mask over my face, or if no one can see me, or no one who knows who I am. If I'm a huge 7-foot monster with a 6-foot knife just dragging behind him, I want to portray that character because this is horror that we're talking about. If I'm gonna, you know, walk all daintily and do like, hi, no, that's completely out of character.
He's just doing the robot, like just like.
I mean, yes, it's funny. Yes, I will break out of character, but for the most part, I want to stay in character because I want them, you know, to feel what they felt when they played this game, when they watched the anime, when they read that comic book. So I will scare them.
That's awesome.
One way or the other.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite aspects of cosplay is like seeing people like in the character, like, oh my god, it's you, and then they can scare you, or they can be like, if they're Spider-Man, they'll make a joke or something. Like, and it's just like, you are real. Thank you.
And they web you against a wall. And they just web sling away, and it's like, wow, thanks, Spider-Man. I'm stuck here all day now.
Or you're covered in blood when it's Pyramid Head.
So, I got another good question for you. We're in October now. You know, we got to at least ask one Halloween question. Do you find people that dress up on Halloween cosplaying? Like, if you were to go to like a Halloween party and somebody's, you know, they're dressing up as, I don't know, Scooby-Doo, Freddy, or sexy Scooby-Doo.
I mean, why not?
Would you consider that cosplay as a cosplayer?
I mean, I would still consider that cosplay a little bit because, I mean, you're playing in the costume.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your own spin on it. But For me, Halloween is more of Party City, Halloween
for sure.
time
Right.
town thing.
Sexy nurse, a weird doctor man.
But that's just
not
my
so-
view on it, because I'm just like, cosplay happens 364 days out of the year for me, because when it's Halloween, it's a little bit different because everyone either wants to be super scary, super skimpy, or just plain out
super
weird.
scary, skimpy.
Yeah,
You know what? That actually happens.
I'm sexy Freddy Krueger.
that's a thing.
No, that's a thing.
Oh,
That's
I
a real
know.
thing.
That's
I
the
know.
thing. Like,
That was me last year.
Today
I
I'm
have
sexy
that
Jason
cosplay.
Voorhees. Ooh.
I guess it's also like, cosplay is more of a like, it's an art form, right? It's like you're literally creating something. It's not like you said, like how I think the perfect you gave it a perfect sum up. Halloween is like Party City, right? You
Yeah.
go there, you buy a $30 costume. It's like, all right, cool, I'm good for a day.
Yeah.
But like this is something where you take a serious investment of time. And I heard you list off like 5 different foams that I've never heard of. And, like, there's a bunch of material that for someone like me, that they don't even know anything
Like,
about.
what?
Yeah, but it's
Can I
like,
get that at Party City?
yeah, it's like, so is that available at $30 or? But like you are literally like I'm looking at one of your pieces right now, and it looks like 3 different materials are just tied up, and it looks amazing.
Pretty much.
But you've got like custom paint, custom pieces, custom material, and you were saying that your other piece that's hanging in the closet, there's a custom material or spandex, I think it was,
Yes.
inside. So it's all like homemade, custom made, and there's a lot more like thought put into this.
Yes.
Yeah, I figured that was like the biggest difference. I wanted to know, you do a lot of, you make it all yourself, right? And you do a lot of foam
For the
work,
most part, yeah.
PVC pipe, stuff that Have you ever thought about going into like a 3D printing route?
Funny that you say that, because the costume that's hanging inside that closet is incomplete because I am currently... I should have been doing this like a year ago. I'm so sorry. If you're watching this, you know who you are. But Yasu Tano is the one who 3D printed my Sombra grenades and the backpack. And I'm in the process of just like sanding away all of the primer and in the process of also painting that.
Oh, nice.
So I don't technically own my own 3D printer, but I do know people who, will make it for me.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I knew a guy. Well, we knew a guy back in Philly who 3D printed a Zenyatta mask.
Oh.
It was so cool. It
Oh,
was,
I bet that was sweet.
Yeah, it was awesome. And when we saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is the future. Like, if you can have this in your home,
This
you
is
could
the
just
future of
you could just
cosplay.
make like you could just make your stuff. Because I'd love to do that. Like, I'd love to have my own 3D printer if I
Yeah.
knew how any of that stuff worked. It was like, I want to make a Zenyatta mask and just like float around in like a chair and just be like,
They just have someone behind you just like push
just
you
pushing me,
and then just
yeah, just like embrace the iris.
gaze into the iris.
But yeah, I think it's super cool, and it's like obviously there's a lot, there's a lot of smarts that go into that kind of stuff. Like I have no idea how it works, but I figured, all the the better cosplayers out there or the good ones, they'll have that kind of hookup where it's like, I know a guy
Yeah.
who can help me make that kind of stuff, and clearly you do. And
It does make things a little bit easier.
yeah,
But the attention to detail at that point needs to be stellar because all the details are there, all the corners, all the edges, everything is there.
True.
Just need to like sand everything out, paint everything correctly, and make sure that it looks good. Because if it's perfect, it has to look perfect.
does it get pretty pricey when you're doing your costumes?
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It gets really
Cries
pricey.
most nights.
I could have got a new car.
I think, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
No. I think the most expensive like bulk of stuff that I've gotten is around like 300, 350 around there, just for materials such as like foam, Warbla, which is thermoplastic, and just plastic, foam, fabric.
Paint, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, paint takes up so much space
Really?
and money.
Yeah, I
Because
can imagine.
sometimes you don't have the right color, so you have to buy 2 colors, mix them together, Then if you run out of that, you gotta do the same thing all over again.
Is it as simple as like in my mind? It's just like you have a paintbrush and you just dip and you're just like do 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 do. But I'm assuming it's much more complex than that.
No. It's
No,
that.
so you just go
Is it really?
paint.
No, that's exactly what you do. Just dip it in there. Don't even look at it. Just do, and you're done. Just push it away.
You just close your eyes. You just paint. You're just painting
Good
whatever.
No, but for the most part, the colors that are already on on the shelves are pretty much spot on. So I just dip my brush in there, just paint it off, and then I'm good to go. Just seal it off, and you're good. But if there's a color that they don't have, you just have to mix it both, and then just hope for the best that you have enough.
Yeah, I figured you can use a lot in like that summer jacket that you have.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was a lot of paint in there.
Well, no, that was all from the fabric itself.
Oh,
that was
really?
the color of the fabric.
Oh.
So fabric is actually the bulk of the pricier things in cosplay, because there are fabrics that range from $2 and ranges from $50 per yard.
Jesus.
So that's ridiculous on my end, but it's worth it. I think.
I hope so.
Cosplay.
$50 a yard?
Yeah,
Jesus.
it can get that. Well, yeah, maybe I'm just overexerting or
Still.
overshooting over something. I don't know.
just
overpaying.
that's yeah. I've been to stores where you're buying just fabric and stuff. It's like, oh, this is way too much money. I thought this would be way cheaper because I'm doing it myself.
Exactly.
It is not. It is way too expensive.
It gets way up there. So
Yeah. So I also wanted to ask, and clearly I think I already kind of know your answer, just because of the different things you've cosplayed as. But as someone who's cosplayed as both a female and male character, I'm assuming your feelings on that for cosplay is like, hey, it's for anybody. Like you can, it's totally imagination. Do whatever you want. Be whoever you want. Be whoever you feel like being. Like I'm assuming it's totally cool with you. Like
yeah.
okay, I figured because I've seen some people that are just like, I'm a guy. I'm only gonna be guys.
That's for dudes.
Yeah, and I respect that. I mean, to each their own. I fully believe in that. But for me, I just love playing with everything, because if I like the design of a female character, I will find a way to either cosplay pretty much everything that that female character has, or just turn it into like a male version, which is like a gender bend or Rule 63.
Rule 63.
And that's Rule 63. I think. Please don't kill me over this. Don't
quote him.
I love you, internet. Just sorry.
Dude.
But Rule 63 is basically the other. Let's say that there's a female version and a male version of that character, and that's it. Just like basically swapping between those two.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's like if it's on the internet, there's a sexy version of it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Which kind of will lead to something else.
Yeah. So we definitely have a few topics to get to today.
Yeah.
One, I think I guess we could jump right into it.
Yeah.
We'll see how quickly we can get through that, and then we have a few actual topics with Telltale, and we'll see if we can get to all that. We'll see if we can squeeze it all in. All right. So, speaking of Rule 63,
and Rule 34,
or whatever, all the rules, the internet. They like to make sexy version of things.
Oh, yes, they do.
And boy, the internet...
Admit it. Yes, you do.
You know you do.
They're like, yeah,
No, you
duh.
I'm not denying it.
So, I guess it was, about a week-ish ago since this recording that...
Yeah, the weekend before the last weekend of September, which is now.
Oh, wow. It's been that short?
It's only been a week.
internet.
That's an epidemic.
It feels like it's been like a month, but it's only been like a week.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, so, Nintendo, they were talking about, in their last Direct, if I remember correctly, they were talking about the new Super Mario Brothers U port for Switch.
Yep.
And now Toadette can transform into Peach with this little
I think it's
crown.
called a power crown or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a power crown. So now it's just like canon with in the Mario Brothers universe, whatever that even means, because that place is super wacky. Who knows what's going on over there?
Yeah, plumbers fighting turtles.
Yeah, just Italians fighting turtles, growing from mushrooms. Who the heck knows? Fighting dinosaur men.
Yeah,
Japan.
yeah, in Japan.
So now there's just a transforming crown that turns Toadette into Peach, and then people are just like, hey, what if that crown just turned every other character in the whole world into a Peach-like character. And then Bowsette enters the scene. Bowsette happened.
Yeah.
Among others. I think Bowsette's a pretty good one.
Yes. Yeah. Essentially, this comic was created, and I don't have the person's name in front of me, unfortunately, but this comic was created. It was the end of Super Mario Odyssey when Peach denies both of them, Bowser and Mario, and saying, I don't like either of you. And then you just see a panel of Bowser holding the crown, and the next panel he's become Bowsette, which is just Peach, but with like horns and like the stud bracelet things. Oh, yeah. And it's just them together.
A little more sexier.
Pretty much. And so like ever since that, it's just like taken over. Like it's
the internet's like, oh yeah, I got a great idea.
It's like
get ready.
It's like, oh my god, sexy Bowser? Can we do this?
It's canon.
Oh, we could do more.
And they've done a lot more. Oh, yeah. But I asked you before we started, and you said, I will tell you. I wanted to know, is there a Bowsette cosplay in the future for Alfred Hightower?
Yes.
Oh, how lewd are we going?
This is like a couple years ago. I have a whole roll of elastic fabric. And recently I had just started making harnesses because I'm like, I might as well. Sure. And I saw this one full body harness that I'm like, oh, I can possibly make that because it's just sewing two pieces together, making sure it fits onto my body correctly. And it's basically just going to be black elastic all over me, black underwear, a red wig, the crown, horns.
Nice.
And yeah.
That's awesome.
It's going to... It's either a cosplay or a lack of a cosplay.
I'm saying it's cosplay. The rules of cosplay I think are very vague. If you can pull that off, it's cosplay.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that you're going red hair. A lot of people have drawn Bowsette with blonde hair because it's Peach, but I like the red hair version because it's Bowser.
The red hair makes a little bit more sense because Bowser has red hair.
Yeah, he's got red hair. It makes more sense to me. So I appreciate that. How soon do you think you're going to have that ready? For the world.
Is it ready right now? Are you putting it on?
It's actually no.
It's right here.
Yeah, it's right here.
Just Superman style, just rip your shirt off, Bowsette.
Knowing me and the way that I work with things, I'm basically gonna be slow bro with this kind of thing, where I'm like, oh hey, I'm Bowsette, like in 2020. But it's not gonna be that long. But I want to work on it as soon as possible because it's a very simple cosplay for me to make and do. And
it's super popular right now.
Yeah. If anything, I'm just going to debut at the next, closest convention. So
nice.
Stay tuned.
That would be awesome. Unless you do your slow bro version where it's like 2020 and you're just like, oh, that internet trend from like 2 years ago? It's just like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's me.
Little late to the
so
party.
Cool?
You're all right.
Just go home. We don't even need you at this convention.
We're good. We're overstocked on Bowsette.
There's like 30 Bowsettes in the room right now.
It's kind of disgusting. But that's awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Thank you.
I love, like, this whole conception of Bowsette has been super fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. And it makes me really appreciate the creativity that people have out there. So, kudos to you. I want to see it when it comes out.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, like, just once again, it's like the video game community, it's hilarious. It's like what they can just do with these characters, it's
nutty.
Yeah, it's just
insane.
like
it's
Nintendo
crazy.
does one simple thing. It's like, oh, we're going to take this character and she can transform into another. It's like, oh, now let's take literally every character ever and just turn them into a version of Peach.
And then there came Bowsette, Chompette, Thwompette,
Yoshette,
Waluigiette.
Yep, that's the thing. I think there's a few more. There's a Piranha Plant-ette. Oh,
okay, that I need to see.
Yep.
I always loved Piranha Plant Pete's. Piranha Pete.
Petey Piranha.
There we go.
That's it.
There we go. Thank you. Don't kill me. Petey Piranha. No, I've always loved him because he was cute, massive, and just misunderstood.
I like to think.
He's just like a resident of the Mushroom Kingdom, and then you've just got this Italian man shooting fire at you.
He's like, yo, leave me alone. I'm just trying to be a plant.
I just want to be a plant in polka dot underwear. Oh. Now that I think of it, it's actually kind of cute and weird.
It is weird. But that's the most of the
Don't worry,
Anyways.
now he can be, I guess, Piranha-et? Was that it? Or
I don't know how you would
Pediat?
say it. Piranha plant-et? Piranha Pete-et?
Pediat?
Whatever. Peter-et?
Peter-et?
It's on the
Pediat?
internet.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
I've only seen it once, so.
Well, what about Inter-et?
What about trumpet?
Internet.
Think about that. A trumpet? Trumpet? Think about that. That's
Wow.
kind of gross.
Gross.
I'm surprised I didn't come up with that.
Well, you gotta be quicker on the take. A little
Okay.
bit quicker. All right, so,
right,
but anyway,
so, yeah,
but
we
yeah,
got-
that's the Bowsette Tech talk I wanted to get into. So I wanted to, I figured now it's a good time to actually talk about video game stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, let's roll into a few other things. And remember, dear listeners, after this episode, we're gonna do like a fun bonus round. We'll dive even more into like cosplay. So it's like
Yeah.
if you're looking for that, we'll get there. Don't worry, it's
More
there.
cosplay talk and possibly cosplaying. We're gonna be
knows?
cosplaying.
So
maybe?
we'll see what happens.
We'll
we
see what
we have
happens.
some fun things on that.
Yeah, got some craziness.
But yeah, so Hav, what are we jumping to now?
I think we can talk about Telltale games. Rest in peace.
That's a good one.
Poor Telltale games, just kind of, just out of nowhere.
Yeah, so it's super weird. So the other day, I can't remember the date off the top of my head. I don't know if you wrote it down.
Nope.
We're about at our chops.
It was a few days
So
ago.
it was a few days ago where it's just like out of nowhere, they just shuttered their doors. They're like, hey, by the way, we're just closing down, and it's like, if I had to guess just off the top of my head, like a video game company that was going to just shut down tomorrow, it definitely wouldn't have been Telltale. Where it's just like, it's that company had so many like huge IPs it was working on. It was
Yep.
crazy. I mean, it had Minecraft the story, and it had they were doing things with Marvel, and they were doing things with Netflix, and they were doing things with The Walking Dead, and they were just all over the
It was
place. with, like,
massive, yeah.
it was crazy. And then there's like, oh, by the way, we're just like out of business now.
Yeah, I will say the Pete Hawley, who's the CEO.
Lay it on us.
Got a few official statements. He says that the studio is undergoing a majority studio closure to fulfill the company's obligations to its boards and partners. He said he's proud of Telltale's efforts, but at the end of the day, its efforts did not translate to sales. So it seems like all the stuff that they made didn't exactly sell super well, which is kind of interesting
Or-
because...
At the very least, like I hear a statement like that, and it's like, I mean, I know a lot of people that have played a lot of these games. I mean, these are huge games,
Yeah.
but
The Batman ones were free for PlayStation not too long ago.
yeah. So it's like maybe I'm just, I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe they weren't selling, but it also, hi Sheba, Link in the house, everybody. So
Hello.
it could have been one of those things where they were making sales, but the cost of having like a franchise this big, where it's like, okay, so you have Game of Thrones. Let's say 40% of all your sales goes to the Game of Thrones franchise
Yeah.
because you're making this Game of Thrones game.
Or like with AMC, because they own The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can imagine that kind of contract. And then DC with Batman, and then I think they did a Guardians thing with Marvel.
Yeah, they did a Guardians of the
Wow.
Galaxy one.
Yeah.
and,
They
I mean,
did? Oh,
yeah.
I did not hear that one.
They've made so many games
Yeah.
and so many different franchises. It's just shocking how they're just like, all right, we're out of business now. It's like, wow, I thought you guys were doing great.
Yeah.
Because, they had this engine that was like, it was a little on the archaic side. Like, a lot of people complained about it, where it's like, there was like some weird glitchiness in a lot of their games. And it was one of the things that actually turned me off in the early days, were like the Walking Dead games. So it's like, these games are a little, they're a little on the kind of janky side.
Yeah, it's not the smoothest gameplay, but it's
Yeah.
also not a game where it's gameplay heavy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all about like making choices, and it's very narrative, story driven. It's all about making choices in conversation that affect later decisions, and all affects the overall story. So it's like you play it more for the story than you do for the actual gameplay. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know it's a video
yeah,
game.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
It felt more so art than game because
Yeah.
with the background, with the story, with everything that's going on, there were gameplay elements, but you had to appreciate the storyline. The storyline was the main meat and the main art of that whole game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a point and click adventure kind of style.
Yeah. Well, actually, so the way that they originally started, they were founded by old LucasArts members. So these people that were
that's
making
true.
these point and click adventure games for LucasArts, and they're like, hey, let's go ahead and start our own company, and that's what they did. And so they kind of took this point and click adventure type of game, and they sort of took the next step with it. And it's like, well, it's gonna be like narrative focused, story driven kind of game with like light, video game elements to it. So it's like it's like an interactive movie almost without that movie look to it. It looks a lot like a video game, but it's like it was a very interesting thing that not too many people have tried to replicate over the years. Like the only people I can think of is Don't Nod, who does the Stranger Things game, and I think they just released like Stranger Things 2, at least the first episode. And they're the only ones that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's like 50 that somebody's going to scream at me at some point in time that are doing something on on a large scale. Like, this is our thing. It's on all the platforms. Story driven. 4 episodes over a couple months, kind of thing. There's just not a lot of that going on.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. It's a shame, but it's really nice. I had mentioned this to you a few days ago. I was on LinkedIn the other day, and I saw that Blizzard posted, and I saw that a lot of game companies posted. They were like, "Hey, Telltale employees, really sorry about the unfortunate news. Please reach out. Feel free to apply. Talk to our recruiting agents. You guys are all really talented. We'd love to have you aboard. We'd love to talk to you and see if we can bring you on part of our team." So it seems like the community, in terms of the companies and the corporations, are actually kind of banding together and be like, "Hey, come on! We know a lot of people got laid off. A ton of people got laid off, and it's kind of nice to see that a lot of businesses like Blizzard and all the others that are saying "Hey, apply, talk to us. We can help you out because we know you guys are super talented." So it's kind of a nice silver lining, if you will.
Yeah, as good as it can be.
Yeah. It still sucks. I mean, you're out of a job. And
as long as there's that camaraderie within that video game creation community, then
because a lot of I feel like a lot of people have kind of been there in that video game realm or in the industry where it's just like you got crunch time, and I mean it's hard to make a video game. Any video. I would hate to imagine what it's like to actually develop a video game, and then at the end of the day, you got idiots like me like, "Oh, that thing doesn't look right. What's wrong with that guy in the background? That NPC, he looks like an idiot."
Why aren't these puddles better?
What's going on with these puddles over here?
Yeah.
The lighting in the sky isn't that great. It's how long it takes to make this. You got idiots like me that don't know what it takes.
Yeah.
So you got these people that pour their heart and soul into a game, and then the turnaround of this kind of stuff where, you hear about it in the industry a lot where, people are just, you got crunch time. You got people that, they work just excruciating hours, and they have to work over the weekends, just month and month and month, back to back to back. And say, "Hey, sorry, family, I can't see you for the next 4 months because it's crunch time. We got to finish this thing." And then they just send you on your way, like, "Thanks, but no thanks. Just good luck with life." And
it's fine. That's why some of the higher ups at these companies, they'll retire early. Yeah, because they just invest so much time. It's like, I need personal time with my family because I live at this studio and I need to stop living here. Yeah, like the guy from I forget who, from Naughty Dog. Yeah. Where he stepped down, he's like, it's too much.
Bruce Straley.
Yeah, Bruce Straley.
Yeah, it's just like, "Hey, I've been doing this for 10 straight years. I need a break. I need to see my family." It's just like, people, they have to take a step back every once in a while because it's so much work that goes into video games, and us dummies, we just take it for granted. Or I would hate to imagine how much work goes into some of these games. It's insane. About the new Spider-Man game and.
Which
just to build
amazing.
it, that game is so good.
Yeah, it's great.
But to just build that city in that world, that just stresses me out thinking about it.
I mean, the attention to detail was amazing because I saw this video on Tumblr where there was this guy playing the new Spider-Man game, and he was just on the corner of a building on the ceiling. Roof, not a ceiling. Wow.
Roof.
Anyways.
Yes, the building ceiling.
It's the top side of the ceiling.
Yes. No, he was on the roof, and it was overlooking this dome with a spike on top of it, and the guy who was playing takes his camera and says, "Oh, this looks kind of familiar." He takes it over his window, and it's the same dome with the spike through the middle. And I'm like, that detail is stellar.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's lots of little touches. I think there's one thing they did with like the two towers where you can see it in like the reflection of a building, but if you look behind you, obviously it's not there because it's not there.
Oh man,
So it's kind of cool, little stuff like that.
that's interesting.
But anyway,
So getting back to Telltale for a minute, I figured we could take a minute. First of all, like, man, it sucks for all those employees. I hope everybody finds like a good home at a new company.
Yeah.
Like I know like Marvel is reaching out and Insomniac and a bunch of great companies. So I hope everybody kind of finds like a new home with a really cool company making, doing what they do best, which is making like really cool narrative experiences. You know, a lot of like amazing writers and stuff in that world. So. Just real quick, I know we're running out of time. Does anybody have any good Telltale stories from any games that they've played over the years?
The Batman one that I played recently when they released it on PSN. I mean, I'm a huge Batman fan, so it's just like, any iteration, any iteration of The Dark Knight, I will appreciate.
Sure.
Even if it's weird or dumb, I'll always appreciate it. And they took a cool stab at the Batman mythos where they involved tons of different characters, and they made someone that you wouldn't expect, spoilers, Vicky Vale, a villain. Like they made her a supervillain, and it was really cool. And it's something that I did not see coming, and so it's an interesting story, and that's what you want to get out of their games. It's like a really cool story. It's like a comic book come to life. And so for me personally, like when I played the Batman game, I thought the story was great. I loved it. I had a great time. Like they try and make Bruce Wayne look like a villain at certain points, and it was really interesting. It's a cool story to take place in Gotham, and I really enjoyed it.
And something interesting with a game like that it's hard to do in a different kind of video game because obviously they're very narrative driven for the most part. So it's like they can focus on something like what is Bruce Wayne? What is it like to be Bruce Wayne?
Yeah.
You're hardly ever going to see that in like an Arkham game, where it's like I think it was Arkham City. You were Bruce Wayne for all like 5 seconds at the beginning, and then you're Batman. You're punching 90 people in the face every 10 seconds. It's just like, but with a narrative-driven game like this, it's like, what is Bruce Wayne?
Yeah,
and it's
how
like,
would he react in this situation?
Yeah, it's
like how would you react if you were Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, and it's
cool.
like you get in these situations like, should I approach this like Bruce Wayne or should I approach this like Batman?
Yeah,
and so it's cool to have a game like that, and it's like you hardly even see those kind of things in maybe a movie or a television show or something, because it's like nobody wants to see Bruce Wayne just like he's sitting at his desk at Wayne Enterprises just doing business things.
Yeah.
So you hardly kind of see that side. Everybody wants to see Batman punching people in the face, and it's just that's Batman. It's like if it's not Batman, I don't want to see it. Yeah. But it's like with a story like this, it's interesting because you can have that kind of that other side of what Batman is, and it's interesting, and you can live and breathe as this side of Batman you almost never get to see or experience. So it's cool to have these games that are in the narrative side of things.
Absolutely.
So, and then my one story is back in the day I played one of their like kind of original games, which is the Back to the Future game. I don't know if
I remember that.
Wow.
And it's at the time like I'm a huge Back to the Future guy, and man, that game, like, it's not, I'm not going to say it's amazing or anything, but it, like, as somebody that just loves Back to the Future, it's like, I want more from Back to the Future.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They delivered something that was super interesting. It's like they brought in Christopher Lloyd to do the voice acting for Doc, which is amazing because, I mean, that guy is, he's like, my saint. He's my spirit animal. I love
Doc
Christopher
Brown.
Lloyd.
Spirit animal.
Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown, like that man. He held such a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And just to like hear his voice one more time as Doc Brown, it's like, aw, this is nice. And like to have the original music from the series and have an original story that takes place after the third movie. It's like a canon thing. It's like, this is what happens after the third movie. And it's like, that's super fascinating. It's like, what happens to Doc and what happens to Biff and like all these like these, and obviously Marty and the gang, and it's like it's super cool, and it's like it's such an interesting take on a series that after 3 movies, it was done. It's like, here's the end. But then 20 plus years later, it's like, but what actually happened after the 3rd movie?
But wait,
and they
there's
dive
more.
into that. And it's like, it's actually pretty cool, you know? And it's like, I thought it was so interesting. I would love to see, like, even a 4th movie about that, what they did with that game. So it's just like, and I'm sure that's, like, that's probably the last time we'll ever see, like, Christopher Lloyd do Doc Brown and, ever really hear much from the Back to the Future franchise until 20 years from now it gets remade into something awful.
We'll give him a chance. Might be good.
Yeah, who knows? You never know. But on my end, it'll be Minecraft, actually, surprisingly. Because I love playing Minecraft. I just love the creative aspect of it and, just making the game into yours because whatever your goal is, that's also the goal in the game. But for them to take Minecraft and pull a story out of that,
which is crazy.
It's just crazy.
It's like, that can't be done, right?
Exactly.
They did it.
just to be able to pull out a story out of a non-story driven game was amazing for me because I'm like, okay, this gives me a reason to love this character more, to hate this character more. And I just slowly fell in love with Steve because you finally get to really know who he is in the whole game, and I'm like, oh, okay, I have a reason to like you now.
Yeah.
You're not just something that I can customize over the internet.
Yeah, it's great when you just see, like, it's expansions of worlds that you really appreciate. And that's the best thing that a creator can do. It's like, here's a world people love, let's add something to it.
Yeah,
let's make something new.
Like, it's tough. Like, you take a franchise somebody already loves, you know?
It's not easy.
And it's like, I think about, once again, going back kind of Spider-Man, it's like to make a Spider-Man game where it's like, there's only like 60 years of like Spider-Man history. It's like, that just sounds frightening because it's like you have these hardcore Spider-Man fans like, yo, you do anything with Spider-Man, you're doing it wrong, I hate you, the internet will destroy you. But it's like, it's the same thing. It's like you make a Batman game, you make a Minecraft game. It's like everybody has like an idea of what those franchises are, and it just come in and be like, let's do something interesting. We're going to kind of turn it on its head. We're going to do our own thing, but also, like, respect what this IP is.
Right.
And it's like Telltale, it sucks they're kind of gone now, but apparently there's something wrong going on over there, and it fell apart. But it's like, it's good to kind of look back and see the things that they did that were right and appreciate, like, what they gave to the world in the video game world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like it's interesting stuff. So unfortunately, we're out of time.
Oh, no.
I want to bring up one thing.
Bring it up.
Okay, so PlayStation, PSX got canceled, whatever. The PlayStation 1 Classic's coming out, right?
Yep.
5 games were announced. I just want to get a run off. Like, what's one game you want out of it?
Oh,
You first, AJ.
Medieval.
Oh, that's a good game.
I
love
that game so much.
I still have that on my PS3.
Really?
Yeah, I bought a digital copy. It's on my PlayStation 3. Damn. It's so good. I love that game.
I love
So
that game.
I had a really good one off the top of my head earlier, and I can't remember it, but one really good one. I mean, I love this franchise. It's just Metal Gear. It's like, give me the original Metal Gear Solid.
The original,
that game blew my mind back in the day. It's so good. I love it. And, a nice soft second for me is Harvest Moon Back to Nature. Like,
yes, that was the second one I was about to blurt out. But
I got
yes.
Bacon my sheep right there. Like,
I just noticed. God, I just noticed that.
I like just Back to Nature has such a special place in my heart. I love that game, and it's like, man, if I could just experience that again, I would just like. You could just give me a Harvest Moon classic as just that game, $100. Like, okay, I'll
worth
pay
it.
that.
Fair enough.
And it just comes with another free sheep, a second sheep.
I really want Crash Team Racing, the Crash Bandicoot go-kart game.
Oh my god, yes!
Because I always felt it was superior to Mario.
I mean, you're wrong, but
Mario Kart 64 is good. Crash Team Racing is just better. That's all. So Crash Team Racing and Ape Escape. I loved Ape Escape.
Oh wow, I haven't heard that franchise in a long
Yeah.
time.
No, I don't know how they're gonna do it without if they put it
Yeah.
on, which they absolutely should. It would be ludicrous
Yeah.
if they didn't. I don't know how they would do it without the analog sticks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully they
Wow.
would release another controller with the analog stick. I would
Yeah,
really
but it'd
like
be so weird. To, like, okay, here's the classic. Comes with Ape Escape. You got to buy a second controller
Yeah,
with
but
these analog.
I might because I love Ape Escape.
Yeah,
so
but
much.
it's
so
such
good.
a classic PS1 franchise.
Yeah.
It confuses me that they don't have that on there. And then I'll say one more game. I know we're so far beyond
Yeah.
time, but man, Twisted Metal, come on.
Wow, I had that as well.
Oh,
Twisted
Yeah.
Metal,
Yes.
Twisted
Oh my
Metal
goodness.
2
Yep.
is like the greatest game ever. Like, I love Twisted Metal
It
2.
is pretty
Twisted
damn
Metal
good.
was
Man, I love that
Yeah,
series.
Sweet Tooth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet Tooth was the one who like introduced me into my whole like creepy but kind of cute
Yeah.
but kind of silly aesthetic.
That'd be a
And,
good
yeah.
cosplay.
Maybe
The truck.
Sweet Tooth
Oh,
for a
just-
truck.
You know, it's like there's Sweet Tooth without the truck.
Yeah, there's a guy. But I'm just saying.
You should get like you can get one of those those fake flames that it's like just a lamp with just like fake fire.
Oh, yeah,
you
with the-
just put that
yeah.
on your head and then it's like
Done.
that's your hair.
That would be kind of cool.
Then you'd be a
That would be
crazy
kinda-
clown man.
Thanks for the idea.
There
All
you
right,
go.
there we go.
All right, well, man, we are so far beyond time.
I'd love to
Well,
talk more
anyways.
about PlayStation Classic.
Oh,
Oh.
we
I had a
could.
full list, but
I know, right?
It's fine.
I could talk about it
Next
all day.
time.
But, I think we had a lot of fun things
Yeah.
to talk about on
It was
this
okay.
episode. It was a good time. If I had to rate this, it was a solid 3 out of 10. It was a good.
It was
no, I'm just
amazing.
kidding. So that is our episode, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. I know we're running a little long here. But before we go, remember you can follow us all over the internet. We are at at Go Multiplayer on Twitter and Instagram, and then you can find me personally at Zach Matzganis, ZACKMATZGANIS. Alfred, where can we find you?
So I only have on Instagram. I know I was supposed to make a Twitter a long time ago, but
It's
I never
okay.
got to it.
It happens.
But my Instagram will be Alfred Hightower, ALFREDHIGHTOWER. Nothing fancy, just Alfred Hightower. Put it together, you're done.
Yeah, check that out because he's got some super cool photos on there. There's you can see Pyramid Head. You can see.
I
all
still love the
sorts of-
Sombra one.
Oh, man,
I
the
love the
Sombra one's
Sombra.
good.
It's so cool.
And oh gosh, I already forgot her name from Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, Cindy.
Cindy. I mean, man, that Cindy costume's dope. I'm digging.
Thank you.
So yeah, go ahead and check out Alfred's Instagram. That's a good time. Hav, where can we find you?
At Jumpman_Ortiz on both Twitter and Instagram.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And just one more quick reminder, patreon.com/multiplayer, where you can throw us a couple fat buckaroos and you get some bonus episodes.
Just
where
make it rain.
just all over our Patreon. It's a good time over there. You get those bonus episodes a week early from all those other losers. And I'm just kidding. We love you all. But yeah, so those bonus episodes are fun. We're gonna have one with Alfred here in a few minutes. It's gonna be a good time over there.
Yes.
And one more quick shout out to our boy DJ CUTMAN for the intro and outro music that he does for us. It's a good time. Alfred's going to do a 10-minute dance to at least the intro.
Slow jam.
And an outfit of his choosing. But yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you. And keep on grinding, and we will see you at the respawn. Later!
We love you, AJ.
Thank you.
Yo, yo, yo! We want to give a big ol' fantastical thank you to Jaden Lawrence, Arturo Madeira, William Euchre, and merchant Dan Kroll-Patariu.
If you want to receive shoutouts like these beautiful, sexy people, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayered. See you next time, players.
We love ya!